Introduction to the 8 limbs. The 8 limbs of yoga are methods of everyday purification advised by yoga sage Patanjali to help us on the path to a more fulfilled life. These include ethical principles and physical practices, as well as meditation techniques that prepare us for the final, higher stages of spiritual awakening. Yama, self-restraint. Yama is the first of the 8 limbs of yoga. The Sanskrit word yama means restraint, and in the context of the 8 limbs, this means exercising restraint from actions, words and thoughts that may cause distress or harm either to ourselves or others. The 5 yamas are non-violence, truthfulness, noncovetousness, conservation of vital energy, and non-attachment. Ahimsa, non-violence. The root of all the yamas and niyamas, ahimsa means being kind and respectful to all living beings, including ourselves, not just in our actions but also in our thoughts and words. For example, our speech should be honest and sincere, without gossiping or put-downs. Our approach to yoga meditation practice should be gentle rather than laden with unrealistic expectations. Satya, truthfulness. In yogic terms, to exaggerate, pretend, mislead, distort or lie to oneself or others, or to manipulate people or situations for our own selfish concerns, is against our true divine nature. Our essential nature is, in contrast, living in truthfulness. This not only means not lying to other people or ourselves, but also being true to our own feelings and beliefs. Asteya, non-covetousness. To practice asteya means not to yearn or hanker after what does not belong to us. Desire, envy and greed keep us continually looking to the future for fulfillment, instead of realizing that perfection is attainable in the present, with what we are already lucky enough to have. Brahmacharya, conservation of vital energy. The term brahmacharya, walking in the presence of the divine, means wise use of our energy in all ways. As any kind of excess or overindulgence, whether overeating, oversleeping, overtalking or even overexercise, leads to dissipation of energy, which depletes our vitality. Aparigraya, non-attachment. Practicing aparigraya means not being overly attached to external objects or events, or the results that they might bring about. It means not being possessive about, or hoarding, objects, not trying to control other people and not holding on rigidly to thoughts, ideas and opinions. Even within yoga meditation practice, it's important to practice aparigraya by not being too fixed on desired results. Instead, accept and move forward with what comes. Niyama, fixed observance. The niyamas are the second of the 8 limbs of yoga and are just as important as the yamas, but are more about the connection with the individual than with the society around us. The 5 niyamas are purity, contentment, self-discipline, self-study, and attunement to the supreme consciousness. Sasa, purity. Practicing sasa means ensuring cleanliness of both the body and the mind, which will enable us more readily to feel an enhanced state of inner calm and stillness. This involves simple physical measures such as washing each morning and before each yoga meditation practice. But it also implies freedom from all negative mental entanglements with objects, circumstances and thoughts. The practices in this book will help you to work toward ridding your mind of such entanglements. Santosha, contentment. Practicing santosha means being in a state of happiness and equanimity that does not depend upon any external conditions. This type of contentment is not conditioned by what we have or do not have, as this will lead to a mind that cannot be satisfied permanently with anything. Instead, we should aim to feel contented within ourselves. Regular practice of yoga meditation will naturally still the restless mind, enhancing your ability to remain calm and balanced in all situations. Tapas, self-discipline. Tapas is energy that is concentrated with conscious willpower on a specific point, so that it releases power. For example, if you inhale deeply and tense your left arm with willpower. Hold your breath and the tension for a few moments and then exhale and release the tension, you will feel the energy surge into your arm. Such energy is necessary for concentration of the mind. The cultivation of self-discipline or tapas through the techniques in this book will enable you to overcome the egoistic nature of the mind and instead direct its power toward higher spiritual aims. Svadhyaya, self-study. Together with tapas, below left, and Ishvara pranadhana, below, svadhyaya, meaning self-study, works as a tool to weaken what are known in yogic terms as the 5 afflictions, kleshas. Ignorance, egoism, attraction, repulsion, and fear of death. Self-study is not an intellectual process, but simply an awareness of the movements of the mind. It can be achieved through regular study of yoga scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and the Upanishads, by chanting sacred mantras such as Om. And also by mindfully observing our ego mind to gain insight into how it veils our understanding of our true self. Ishvara pranadhana, attunement to the Supreme Consciousness. Ishvara pranadhana means the offering of our ego self to the Supreme Consciousness. By remaining from moment to moment in the awareness and presence of this higher consciousness, we can transcend our daily sense of I, me and mine. Thus inwardly realizing our own true, eternal nature and experiencing a deep sense of inner peace and unity. Asana, yoga posture. The most well-known and widely practiced aspect of yoga in modern life is the notion of asana, meaning physical posture. However, Patanjali, who laid it out as the third of his 8 limbs of yoga, actually deals with the subject of asana in only 3 of his 196 sutras. Referring only to seated postures such as Sukhasana, Siddhasana, and Padmasana. This is because he is concerned with postures that bear a relationship to the overall purpose of yoga, which is concentration and meditation. And, according to him, postures that are steady, pleasant and comfortable will lend themselves to such concentration. There are, however, many more varied yoga asanas that can be done for overall physical well-being, as well as to energize and relax the body in preparation for meditation. In the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, a mid-14th century treatise by Svatmarama Yogendra, we read, Asana is the first stage of Hatha Yoga. It gives steadiness, health and lightness of the body. Regular practice of the asanas will help to purify and strengthen the body, open and balance the chakras, clear out blockages of the internal energy channels, and awaken the energy in the spine for the purpose of raising it to the higher centers in the brain during meditation. Dharana, concentration. Dharana, or one-pointed concentration, is the 6th limb of Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, with the Sanskrit word dharana coming from the word ori, to hold firm. The mind can be compared to a lake, with the thoughts and feelings that arise from the mind appearing as waves on the lake. We can see our reflection clearly in the waters only when the waves on the surface subside and become still. Similarly, we can realize our true inner self only when all the thought waves and vortices of feelings, virtus, in our mind are stilled through concentration on a single point. Instead of being allowed to roam anywhere they please as an expression of the ego self. Tradak and Hong Sao are particularly effective methods for developing such concentration. And the more we can apply concentration in everyday life, the greater will be our success in meditation. Dhyana, meditation. Meditation, the 7th of the 8 limbs, is liberation of the mind from all disturbing thoughts, emotional reactions and restless desires. And turning our attention inward to become aware of our own true blissful nature. Meditation is not a technique per se, but a state of stillness and complete contentment in the present moment. All movement has ended with dharana, concentration, and in dhyana, meditation, we are at the inner source of our being, directly experiencing our true nature. All ideas about our identity as a separate and limited being are dispelled in the union of the individual consciousness and the Supreme Consciousness. And we come to realize that the infinite presence of the divine, Sat Chit Ananda, ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss, is always within us. The yoga meditation practices in the pages that follow will lead you on this path to dhyana, where you will experience deep calm and contentment. Samadhi, divine union. The word samadhi comes from the Sanskrit term sam, which means perfect or complete, and the, which means consciousness. It is the 8th of the 8 limbs of yoga. In the state of samadhi the mind is so totally absorbed in the divine self that it is no longer aware of itself meditating. All distinctions between the person who is the subjective meditator, the act of meditation and the object of meditation merge into oneness. The difference between meditation, dhyana, and samadhi is that in meditation there is an uninterrupted flow of attention toward the object of meditation. Whereas in samadhi there is a complete dissolution of the subjective-objective duality of observer and observed. The meditator loses all sense of individuality, ego consciousness, expansion of consciousness begins, and the mind merges into blissful oneness with the divine self. The ultimate goal of all yoga meditation. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.